Roger Gracie basically did like 4 moves. He just did them better than anyone's ever done them, and he won 10 world championships with that strategy. So, man with 10,000 kicks, that whole thing again. So anyway, one of the problems with doing studies about like Roger Gracie and specific moves is that with older guys, there's not as much footage available online from them. And the other thing is that it's kind of like the Adam Wardzinski problem, because he does it exactly once in each match. So he arm drags once, he takes the back once, and then he finishes guys. So if there's only like 7 of his matches on YouTube, it's like, well, you need to find the one that he actually did it and blah, blah, blah. So I pulled up a bunch of videos from Michael Liera Jr. He also uses the arm drag from close guard quite a bit. He's very good at it. I also pulled up a highlight video from Dan Lukehart, who's this black belt down in California, who had a pretty good run at purple belt. And like highlight videos are kind of cheating for doing this sort of thing, but in his case, literally all he did at purple belt was arm drags from close guard, and like he did pretty good. He placed at Worlds. He's now kind of like the U.S. head for Sakaro Costa. So he's good at jiu-jitsu. Okay, so Roger Gracie against Robert Drysdale, World Championship, 2007. So this is kind of like a different era. You'll see the matches about almost 8 minutes long. Most of it's actually stand-up fighting. So this is why when you listen to people talk about the good old days of jiu-jitsu, you hear them say shit like, we used to train for strikes and we did takedowns, poha. And we'll just gloss over the fact where you pull up Keenan Cornelius matches and watch him stack bodies like an angry African like dictator. So the first bunch of this match is all just kind of half-assed judo. Eventually you're going to see Roger pull guard. And this was and still kind of is the predominant way to pull guard. So you go 1 foot to the hip, you fall in that direction and don't let the hip come close. The problem is it lets the near side knee kind of enter into your space. If you want to play De La Hiva, that guard pull is great because you want the near side knee close to you so you can throw in a De La Hiva hook. One of the things Roger used to do is he was a really tall guy, or is a really tall guy. He's not dead. So he'll lock his legs around people, even with that knee in the middle. So when you try to do something called I think it's called like a log splitter pass, Jordan calls it the violator. If you try to do that to me, for example, just because I have really long limbs, I will just lock my legs around you, and you'll see Roger do a little tilt sweep here. Because, right here, he extends, and he just tilts his hips. He touches Drysdale's butt to the mat. He gives him a chance to come up on top. And in this case, he loses it, and he has to scramble back to guard. But see how he locks in the exact same position? So he's got the violator in place. Instead of doing the tilt, then he tries to stand and hit the double leg, and then end up resetting standing. So let's skip ahead past the mediocre judo that Emilian makes fun of. It's so weird having him in class and being like, oh, we kind of do judo. No, we don't. Not like him, man. So, gi's open, lapel grips are available, and you're going to see Roger try to do like a couple foot sweeps, but then he just throws himself into the closed guard, just jumps guard. So notice how he's really attaching his shoulders to Drysdale's shoulders. Like he's keeping a really strong upper body connection. So even here, when you see Drysdale stands and tries to do the chair break, he's going to connect himself onto like I don't know what you would call this area, the yoke area of someone's back. And he's using that to break posture. So it's really hard to stand when your spine's curved and when you're being dragged to the ground like that. So now I want you to just take a quick note of the grips that you're going to see Roger grab. The big thing with making the arm drag work in closed guard is that you have to win the grip fight. So you need 2 grips. So first you need to get hold of the sleeve around the wrist-ish. and that's going to be your cross grip of the hand. The other hand is not totally necessary, but it's a really big help if you can go to the elbow or to the tricep on the same side. So you're going to get a 2-on-1. One of the things I think I've said this in class before is that a lot of stuff in jiu-jitsu comes down to making unfair fights. So if I'm going one arm against your one arm, that's a fair fight. I don't know that I can win that. Whereas if I can double team an arm, that's a much more unfair fight. I'm more likely to win that. So this guy's sleeve grip here, he forgoes going for the elbow and instead reaches deep around the neck, and he picks up the lapel on the other side. The only reason the lapel is available is because of the scramble while they were standing, but you take what's there. So think about what's happening here. This lapel is like a rope winding around his neck, under his armpit, and around his back, right? So what Hosher's doing is he's kind of controlling rotation. If you imagine this as a pulley, this is like a pulley that's making Drysdale wants to keep his shoulders flat to the mat. It's like a pulley that's making him straighten up with his chest off in this direction. And that's what enables him to bring this hand out and get off the sleeve and go to the mat a few times. You'll see here, he holds onto that sleeve and he kind of like jams it upwards, almost like a little bit towards his face. What he's trying to do here is he wants to get the elbow pinned. You want to get the elbow pinned somewhere between like your belly and your chest, just kind of somewhere torso-ish. And then you want to get yourself as far to the side as you can. This hand is tied up, this hand is tied up, and Drysdale's pushing in. So like obviously he doesn't have any more hands to go to the mat. So watch his feet. I'll just go back for a couple seconds here. So he's got this grip, he's got this grip. He's going to pull really tight to attach himself onto Drysdale and watch his legs. He'll unhook his guard and he goes to the hip. And he does this bridging motion.
What's up?
Can you please go upstairs?
Scott's gone. Okay. We're going to continue without him.
I don't know what to do with her. She's screaming and won't come out.
And mute Scott for a second. So this leg comes free and goes to the hip. And he really like picks his hips up off the mat. He's not trying to scoot himself around so much as he's bridging up into Drysdale almost towards this shoulder. And then he's letting his hips kind of fall to the other side. So he gets his hips out to the side, relocks his guard, reestablishes this grip to control the rotation. Still got that sleeve grip. Does it again. So he moves his hips out, gets a little bit of rotation, holds onto the spot. On Drysdale's end right now, all of his options suck. Because his elbow is across the center line. So if he turns to bring his hips onto this side, he gets armbarred. If he faces this way, he gives up his back. He can't really drive into Hosher. See how he keeps pushing on that hip and moving his hips more into like the armpit shoulder area. So now, as he curls his hamstrings and kind of like pulls his butt into him, he's like pulling his hips into the side of Drysdale. There's no space there. So Drysdale can't move that arm back anymore. That space is completely closed off by Hosher's body. This is probably the thing that we do wrong the most, is we'll get that arm across, we'll go across to the far lat, and then we'll push with our chest. The problem pushing with your chest is you hunch in, which means you empty out your hips and you make a gap that the elbow can come through. Hosher doesn't really hunch in so much. He comes around and he pushes his hips in. So there's no gap for that arm to come through. And then, when the time is right, he's like, oh yeah, I want some back now. He goes from looking at Drysdale and he looks at the mat. So he's like 90% there. He turns his hips so he's facing towards the mat. Now you see the back exposure, right? So all he needs to do now is get both hooks in, and that's now a scoring position. This grip, still in play. He's using that to pull himself back onto him. I lose the back all the time doing this. I'll jump onto someone's back, I'll throw up both hooks in, but I won't have anything with my hands to hold me so you can shuck me overhead. Be like Hosher. Have a grip with your hands or else body triangle so you can't be shucked overhead. So he locks in the body triangle, hold himself in place. His hands just kind of rummaging around looking for a grip. Okay, he gets underneath the armpit. He's going to wind through, get a cop grip. That's great. So you can't really shuck him off overhead because he's so firmly attached. gets himself like definitely on top. And now he's doing I always call it the robot, like where you're on someone's back, you get kind of I call it like a police grip or a Kimura grip, and you make them do this. That's how you can flatten people out. When they're flattened out, that's going to open up the space that you can put in both of your hooks. So Drysdale ends up rolling over. His body triangle still locked on. This still sucks real bad. And now Hodger's sinking in that sweet choke. There we go. This was, the finals of Worlds 2007. One of Hodger's million Worlds wins. Get that out here. Okay. So he's going to do the exact same move to Caprito here. Oh, that's frozen. Let's reload that for a second. Oh, this is the most Canadian ad I've ever seen. Get back here. Okay. So Caprito was like one of the big names in jiu-jitsu in the late 90s, early 2000s. He won Worlds, I think, a couple times. When we're talking about like when the Ribeiro brothers were both top of their game and like Gordo was playing half guard on people and blowing people's minds, that's kind of the era that Caprito was active. One of the things you'll notice with the really heavy weight classes is that guys tend to stay active a lot longer. You'll get retirements at 27, quite like lightweight. Skip ahead. Come back. I forget when he pulls guard. Yeah, so kind of takedown situation. It's actually a nice little toe pick there. Hodger is just like impossible to take down because he's been doing jiu-jitsu since he was 5 years old. Fun fact, if you're really into leg locks, there's a flying scissor entry right here. Don't do that. Don't do that in class. That's how you break people's calves. We're just going to skip ahead. Yeah. So takedown happens. They go to the ground. First thing Hodger does is he establishes close guard, right? Ref moves him back to the middle of the mat. So, oh wait, they need to fix their butts. Okay, now here we go. So Hodger's in close guard. Right away, see the grip he picks up? This is like priority number one. He gets that grip before they've even restarted. So he gets that cross collar grip, and now he goes behind the tricep. As long as the hand is pulling onto the gi, it's kind of anchoring the hand in place so you can't drag it across. So what you'll see quite often with guys who plays this style of game a lot is they'll actually arm drag off the grip break. So again, hand is like in the armpit. He's holding around the wristish. Yeah, he doesn't really... He's doing kind of like two motions at once to get this arm across. So on one hand, he's pinching with his knees and he's lifting. So Caprito, how do I say this? So his arms are locked here, right, in space, and his torso is being moved forward. If he keeps his arms tilted or completely compressed in like this, he tips over and his head goes low, his hips come up, and he rolls, right? So he has to do this. As soon as your arms get farther away from your body, like as soon as your lats get less and less engaged, you get weaker. And it's kind of like a general rule. If you're trying to kick someone's ass, if you can get their arm away from their body, that's going to make your job a lot easier. Someone's arm in like this is very strong. It's very difficult to move. Okay, so he's lifting with his legs, and he's also kind of like shifting his hips out to the side. So you'll see his hips are kind of here. His hips are going to come over here. So he lifts. Caprito does a good job trying to post to oppose it. I mean, Hodger's done this 15 million times. Yeah, lifts and pulls his hips out to the side. Like I've said before, all of Caprito's options suck real bad here, which Craig knows because he does this to people all the time. So he's got this leg up as a post to try to oppose, how it says, he's trying to use this to balance and also give him some ability to drive back into Hodger, because if he stops driving, Hodger just jumps on his back. But it doesn't really matter that much. He's got this nice deep grip around the armpit. Hodger passes the lapel through. So now he's got that rotational control, right? So now Compredo's a wheel that he's controlling.
Leaning back into it.
Yeah, so his foot goes to the hip, just as before, except this time, Compredo realizes, okay, he's going for my back. I'm going to push in so he doesn't get my back. This gives up the flower sweep. Because remember, rotational control, right? And momentum's coming this way. So all Hodger has to do is lift this leg, his left leg, and it's a nice, easy flower sweep. This also lands him in kind of like the half mount, half back control spot that we don't really have a good name for. In this case, Compredo turns over, and that's what gives up his back, and Hodger just jumps on that right away. And when you have a 10-time world champion on your back, you're kind of screwed. Yeah, so this match goes on like a little bit longer, mostly Compredo and back defense. You can't see a lot from this angle, obviously, but pretty sure Hodger just sinks in an armbar. Yeah, he armbars this. And also, look at this armbar. This is really nice. Like, he's got so much weight on that leg. He's actually picking him up with that arm to really flex him. This is a really nice armbar. I don't know why I'm saying that like there's some kind of surprise. Like, obviously it's a nice armbar. It's friggin' Hodger Gracie. Like, he's gonna do that perfect. One more match from Hodger. I skipped ahead to the bit where he actually uses the close guard. So just to set the scene for you, this is his absolute match with Jean-G Ribeiro, 2008. He's down on the scoreboard at this point. I think he's down 4-2, and they're tied on advantages. And there's like a minute 15 left. Mute that. So he's down by 2. He needs to get something going. He can't take him down, so he pulls guard and goes to the close guard, right? He's got 58 seconds left here. And like, it really says something that he can go for anything in the world. And he's like, no, my close guard is what's going to give me the best shot of winning here. So again, same grips as before. He gets right around the wrist, and he holds up by the elbow. Just watch him do this one more time. He does like a really, really nice clear of this arm. I'm going to slow this down so we can watch it half speed. So he picks his hips up. He has like kind of a little bridge. And then he kind of crunches. So he goes like, and uses his chest to direct that arm underneath. It's kind of difficult to say with words. You see what I mean when I say that? So he does like a little bridge with his hips, shifts his hips off to the side, and uses his chest and his body to get this hand across. Right away, he goes right back to that deep shoulder grip and relocks his guard. Right, and now his hips are going to be driving in behind that arm, and this is providing rotational control, so Jean-G can't really turn either way freely. Again, he's going to start to pass. So in this case, he passes the sleeve across because the lapel's not available, and he uses a dirty illegal grip right here. The ref doesn't notice for like a couple seconds. This whole time, notice how he keeps unlocking his guard. He goes foot to hip and uses that to turn his hips over. So he's like slowly bringing his hips up this side of the arm and also getting his hips more and more into the armpit shoulder area. This arm is totally locked across, right? That's what that hand was providing. And now he decides, okay, I can't really go for the back. I can't score. I need to sub him right now. Then he throws the leg over and he attacks the armbar. And time runs out and Jean-G is like, yay. because he just beat Hodger. If that match had been 2 seconds longer, Zhangju's arm was snapping for sure. So this armbar setup's actually like really good. I just suck at it. Actually, Craig, do you use this one at all? Are you any good at this? I'll unmute you.
Go back. Sorry, I wasn't looking for a second there.
Dude.
Yeah, well, like. Yeah.
So arm drag across, getting your hips up really, really, really high, and then switching from the shoulder to the arm.
Yes, all the time. That's my back fall if I lose the far arm or the back control, is I'll just come back underneath and try to secure the arm.
Your hit rate with that's pretty good, right?
I would probably say 60s, 70s.
Okay.
I'll land something out of the position. If you mean that move exactly, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those moves that I would like to be a lot better at, but I'm kind of butt at it. Okay, so Lira Jr.
You just need to love people. Learn to love them, Brad.
Again. Okay. So Lira Jr. is a really good guy to watch for closed guard stuff because he's a lightweight and he won Brown Belt Worlds basically by playing closed guard on everyone. And at this point, the game has changed pretty dramatically, and he's in a much lower weight class. Guys aren't trying to smash as much. One of the things you'll get from his brown belt matches a lot, and especially his black belt matches, is that the problem with opposing closed guard in kind of like the modern game is that it's very difficult to make people put both knees on the ground, and it's very difficult to get the elbow away from the knee to give you the space for the closed guard. So what he did a lot at brown belt is he played a lot of De La Hiva and used the sleeve grip on the near side to really stretch arms out to open up the space for the closed guard. It's also worth noting if you look at his matches in like 5 grappling, he's got a really sick berimbolo. Not surprising because he's from Atos. But he does kind of the same thing as Hodger in that the first thing he does is he cross grips the arm. And then right away, he gets that same grip. He goes right behind the tricep in the shoulder area. In this case, you see how he keeps gripping the gi, and that gi grip is going to anchor the hand and prevent the arm drag. So he needs to either break the grip or he needs to do something else. So knowing that hand is now locked in place, it does open up a couple different options. So one of the things you see Lira Jr. do a lot is he'll underhook the leg on that side, and he'll try to do bridge sweeps off of it. So there, the guy stood. He tried to do I don't really have a good name for that sweep. It's kind of like a bridge sweep when the guy's standing. But he does the same move that we saw Hodger do a whole bunch. This elbow's pinned. Guy brings himself up for a moment. His arms brought across as the hips slide out to the side. And he locks himself into the closed guard. In this case, he doesn't need to go to the hip as much because he's a lot higher immediately. But he grabs the far armpit and just slowly, bit by bit, worms his way around the back. And he gets onto the back, and now looks for the choke. It's weird to think that Lira Jr. was winning worlds at brown belt, like when I started jiu-jitsu. Like, you can still learn so much of it. Yeah. He also knows the body triangle gets used a lot with that back take. So I just need to go back to here. Okay, so when you're taking the back using this move, this guy scrambles out, but you'll see that the body triangle gets locked in. If someone's in turtle, you can body triangle safely. You don't have to worry. The reason why the ankle lock against the body triangle works is because the leg that's trapped can't escape. If you are in a turtle situation, like here, his body is not on top of this leg. So he can't pin this foot in place, and he can't extend his hips into it. If you get to here, and you're like, I'm about to turn over to the other side, and I don't want to get ankle locked, just undo the body triangle. Just do that. See? It's actually way safer than you think it is. The reason why we always harp on people not crossing their ankles. Yeah, you see this guy's going to try to do the ankle lock, but he's also being choked. Not really a race you want to be in. The reason why we always harp on don't cross your ankles when you have the back is because most people don't have they haven't yet developed the like mental recognition of you have to be high enough on the body and have the top side lock for it to be safe. But there's nothing inherently wrong about crossing your ankles in the back. That is a big dirty choke. That's actually a really good example of applying the closed guard against someone. Okay. Another Liara Jr. Some of the Liara Jr. matches are kind of in potato quality. It's just because they're uploaded a really long time ago. And this is way before there was high quality streams. So in this case, he has like an overhook as he's going around the back. Fortunately, they're not turned around, so you can see the grip fight. But again, I'll just emphasize again, like, you need to win the grip fight if you want to play this kind of game. It's non-negotiable. You can't kind of go neutral on the grip fight. You have to win the grip fight. You need to have their hand off your gi. You need to get the grips you need and get the arm cross. You'll see right away he goes cross sleeve and he tries to do that bridge sweep. Forces his opponent to go back to his knees. And again, he's right back onto this grip, trying to free this arm so he can get it across. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. There's a lot of like pressuring in and not a lot happening. Weirdly, that's not called stalling. I've never quite understood why. Yeah, so here-ish. Okay, so he's doubling up on the sleeve. He's getting that sleeve away from him, and more importantly, he's getting the grip off the gi. Doubles up. See, the anchor is preventing the hand from really moving. So that's one of the reasons why you need to break the grip if it's on your collar. Now he's going cross sleeve. He's going to the elbow. Elbow comes across the center line. Now he just needs to sit up and reach across. So shrimps his hips out, tries to reach, doesn't quite get it. The elbows come back across, so he reestablishes the same grip, punches it across, and reaches across this time. Watch that one more time. So punches it over, dives across to the far lat. Now he's using that to pull himself upwards. So he's like really attaching himself really strongly onto his opponent's side. So there's no room for that elbow. And now he just works his way around the back, and here's the back take. In general, I should add, with the closed guard arm drag, it helps to have a really clear order with what your objectives are. So option one is always going to be the back take. Like if you have two options available, one's flower sweep, one's the back take, you go for the back. That's the better option. Really committing and going whole hog for the back is what's going to make people overreact and drive into you. That will set up the flower sweep. And that's why Craig flower sweeps me all the time, because I don't want him on my back, so I have to not really make a mistake, but I have to give up the flower sweep to not get strangled. And choke for the back. So again, open guard situation, strong knee elbow connection. So this space isn't really open for the closed guard. So you see he has to do stuff with his open guard to kind of open that room up. So in this case, he's using kind of like a lasso. He's got a cross grip. What's holding the lasso in place is that this guy is dead set and controlling the pants. I forget how long they do this. Yeah, they're in an open guard fight for a while. Like, Liara Jr. ends up in Del Hiva. Again, so he's trying to get this elbow away from the hip, and that's what's going to open up the space to attack the closed guard. In this case, the guy went to his knees, so you can walk it on right away. Even if someone goes to their knees and they get an arm trapped inside your closed guard, like that's fine. Like that's actually advantageous for you because they have one less hand to defend. And unfortunately, this is kind of a crappy camera angle. So the camera moves around a bunch, but you're going to see, again, he's got this grip on the far tricep. You can't see this arm, but it's definitely on the sleeve. And what's he going to do? He's going to lift with his legs. He's going to punch this arm over to the side. So this guy stands. He attacks a little bridge sweep there. Goes up for triangle. Retreats back to his normal closed guard and tries to hit the same sweep as before, but reacquires the cross grip. And this is actually, if you get that grip, it's actually really advantageous. It makes it really easy to bridge people over to this side. So he ends up here. His opponent has really good base, so he keeps himself elevated and tilted away from the weak side, so he doesn't get the bridge he wants. Yeah, that close guard's pretty tight. When you see people start doing that, like, it's pretty locked on. So it goes to the collar, just to control posture. Reacquires that cross grip again. There's something really cool about watching guys who are really good at the close guard because they're just so calm. Like they get to that spot and they just kind of chill out. There's not a lot of urgency because they know they just need to get to the grip they need and they're good to go. Let's just skip ahead like a minute. Still in the close guard. They're still in the same situation. I don't think anyone's scored at this point in the match either. Lyra probably has an advantage. Oh, he flower sweeps on this one. Sorry, guys. This is the wrong match. I thought I had a different Lyra junior match lined up. Oops. That's like a massive waste of time. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, before I get into this, I'm just going to unmute everyone. I'll stop for questions quickly. Unmute. Okay, everyone can talk now, I believe. Any questions?
I missed a match for sure.
Oh, yeah, you definitely did.
Yeah. I'll watch it later. But I get the gist. That's, I've never gone for the back like that to initiate a flower sweep. I'm excited to try that.
Yeah.
It works really well. I started doing it after Craig showed me how he does it. And that's why I went on like a little flower sweep tear for a bit, like a year ago.
I started doing it because I couldn't chain things together, and I don't remember when, but one day I was in that position, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can just go that way. And it worked.
It's weird how easy that is, right? I tried going left.
And I kept on doing it.
Tried going left, and he wanted to go right, so I went right.
I think it was probably after one of the Joe seminars, too. I think I had somebody in that kind of like side hug, arm across wrap, and I was like, can't get up on their back. My leg is stuck. But I think if I look the other way, I can just roll. And I could, so...
You just literally just looked the other way and everything came together.
Well, yeah, but you think about it, that just adds the pieces. Because if you're in that position, if you look, your shoulder turns, so your weight drops, which pulls you down. You can fall into your back easier, and you just go over.
I think the most important thing you ever told me was, so I had like the armpit grip.
Yeah.
And if you think of like a line going through someone's hips, kind of like this way, I kept trying to sweep people along that line, and like turn them kind of like a roll. And I remember you really specifically told me one time, it's like, no, man, once you get that armpit, like pull up, like yank them up towards your head.
Oh, yeah, it folds their head inside because they come down like that. So their head tucks in and exposes their back.
Yeah, it works way better.
But like that same thing, if you do like the pulling on that, that's it. By saying looking the other way, it adds that whole motion together. So if you look the other way, your shoulder pulls back, so your hand pulls up, and you pull on the armpit.
Yeah. It works super duper well.
Well, and like I'm only realizing all the connection points now that we actually talk about it. Like for the most part, I'm just kind of like, I can have somebody here, and I know you can feel that point of fulcrum too on your own hip, because you know that you can roll over your hip, and if you can roll over your hip, you can lift them off of theirs in that point.
Yeah.
Was I unmuted to the first half of that entire thing, and why?
Wait, repeat that?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, line the slide. Okay, so next video is a highlight video of a guy named Dan Lukart, who off the start I mentioned, he had kind of a run at purple belt, basically being a tiny Harsher Gracie clone. And like literally all he did was just arm drags from closed guard. When he was a brown belt, he released an instructional on Budo videos called The Science of the Closed Guard. That was like the entire content was just, hey guys, here's how you do arm drags from closed guard. I've never bought it. I still might pick it up someday, but you can see like all the same ingredients. And this is a highlight video that one of his students made of him. But he does like all the things that I've been saying Harsher Gracie does, and all the things Leora Jr. does. Cross grips, reaches across to the far armpit. He locks his guard, drives his hips in, and he steps on the near side hip to turn himself over. And he's like turning himself so he's getting closer and closer to his chest point towards the ground. He'll relock his guard as he starts to slip, and then he just repeats that process. And he just keeps doing it until he's on someone's back. So he's in the body lock, guys, in the turtle. Body lock's totally safe if you force your opponent to turtle. And then once you're onto their back, you can release the body lock and start looking for your hooks. It's very appropriate that the name of his highlight video is The Patience Game. Just like seriously, all he does is he breaks the grip. So he establishes a cross grip, gets the elbow, gets it across by pushing, lifting with his legs, and turning his hips over. So he pushes the elbow. His opponent's hips come up, so that arm gets a little bit lighter. In this case, this is actually kind of an intelligent defense to reach across like that. But he just walks his guard up, pushes the elbow so that his hips can push into the armpit, shoulder area. Just gets a nice deep grip across. And he's just going to slowly, inch by inch, work his way onto the back. And if at any point, if his opponent like really aggressively overcommits, then he gets flower swept. So he starts to go for the flower sweep here and timber, super duper slowly. So his opponent pushes into him. You'll see this grip switches to the far leg. But, I mean, mechanically, it's almost identical to a John Wayne sweep. You're just pushing the hip past the ankle. So the knee and the hip go past the structure that are supporting them, and then you fall over. Same thing here. Cross sleeve, elbow, push it across, push yourself off to the side, and just relock so you can jam your hips into the elbow shoulder area. Go deep to the far armpit as soon as you've gotten kind of like the tricep into your gut, and then just inch by inch work your way up. In this case, notice he's not stepping on the hip to turn himself over, though he does here. For that first motion, he's using kind of like his knee. Nothing wrong with that. Still works. Closes his guard and throws on the body lock as he gets onto the back so he doesn't get shucked off, because that's embarrassing when it happens. Back take, hooks, all them points. That's like the coolest thing I've ever seen a ref do is do the 3 count like that. 1, 2, 3, points. Then cross grip goes for collar grip in this case, but the elbow is kind of far across and he initially grabbed it. So the elbow's pinned, it's trapped by his thigh. Punches this down so that arm can't really come back into play. And again, he's going to lock on his guard, get the nice deep grip, foot to the hip. He's just going to slowly inch his way around and around. Just like that. He goes chest to the mat when he's kind of onto the back, which puts him into the body lock. You can see he kind of reaches for the pants. Dan's a taller guy as well, so he can make that grip, and that grip is actually what's going to set up the flower sweep, pendulum sweep, whichever flavor you want to call it. Yeah, just like that. He's onto someone's back. And you get some sweet, sweet chokes. Another match. Once again, what does he have? He cross grips on the arm. He breaks the grip. Gets that arm across. So the elbow's in his center line. And he's just going to wiggle his hips around to the side. So he gets like physically beside his opponent and reaches across to the far armpit. Steps in the hip as he needs to turn himself over. In this case, he actually passes the sleeve off. I don't like doing that personally. I just find that grip very tenuous. But like, if you go for it and you get it and you feel that's safer and more secure, like, sure, go for it. Plenty of people use it. Just because I don't like it is not a good excuse to not use something. And flower sweep. There's something like really, I don't want to say beautiful, but there's something very aesthetically pleasing about a well-executed flower sweep, you know? Yeah. So as he's coming up that shoulder, he gives up the sleeve rip, hooks the far leg, and just really easy tilts the guy over. Again, here, cross grip, armpit, locks his legs, slowly works his way around. Slowly working his way around. You can actually arm lock that far arm as well, but I couldn't find any good comp examples. And in this case, he's slowly inching his way into like an armbar position. See him give up and go back to attack in the back. Ta-da! Back take. Yeah, man, it's great. What's also really fun about the closed guard, if you want to watch like the kind of like the best guy using the closed guard as his primary weapon today, this dude right here, Hudson Mateus. He's so good. If you search Hudson Mateus on YouTube, the first thing you will see is a highlight video from Flow Grappling right here. Hudson Mateus closed guard highlight. Like he won worlds at brown belt. He got silver at Euros Absolute this last in 2019. And like his main thing is he pulls closed guard on people. He does nothing flashy, nothing fancy, just closed guard, day one crap, and he just makes it work. So again, just like Leo Jr., he has the same problem of he has to deal with standing passers who don't want to put their knees on the ground. In his case, what he does is he goes Deli Hiba. He really straightens this leg out. So it opens up that knee elbow space that he can then get the closed guard in. The difference, though, is you'll see he'll cross grip a lot, or he'll go double tricep grip, because this is his primary weapon. Guys are so scared of having their arm brought across that they like really overcommit and really try to force their elbows down, and it sets them up for a flower sweep. So in this case, he controls both sleeves, just bumps his hips over to the side, and kicks him over using his thigh, drops him into mount. He's won so many matches. Like if you watch this highlight video, like he just hits that sweep over and over on so many people. He's so good at it. Okay. I'll go through questions one more time. Anyone got anything?
Those guys, they make it look so easy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I'll say what's beautiful about the flower sweep is it's anything that's beautiful in jiu-jitsu is how effortless it should look.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just looks cool as hell when someone does something really easily.
You're pulling hard with that cross grip.
So you have a hard time getting the cross grip on the sleeve or on the armpit?
On the sleeve, like initially. Like, do you want
Get the armpit first, or the tricep, so that you can keep the forearm within range.
Yeah, what Craig said. Because you don't want them to pull their arm back. That's going to make your life a lot harder. What will be a really good trigger for you is if someone grabs onto your gi and they grab like a collar or like anywhere up in your torso. You know how we do that grip where you wrap the sleeve and then you come underneath and you break it off like that? That puts you into a cross grip right away, right? So if you really want to start using this, what you can do is you can do that grip break. So you break it up, go to the tricep, and then pull it. That's how I tend to get it.
Okay.
I think it's really neat how when they get the cross grip, when they put they get their body to the side, then it's not a, my arm is stronger than yours type thing. Get the body behind it, and then they can't reef the elbow back.
Yeah, like they just kind of move their hips behind the elbow, right? And like personally, that's probably what I screw up the most, or like when I go for this and I mess it up. What I tend to mess up is I try to do too much with my hands and not enough with my hips.
Okay.
There's a Chris Howder video out there where he's talking about the closed guard. And he says something along the lines of like, we're big dumb monkeys, so we assume that we do everything with our hands. And like really the closed guard, you need to use your hips way more than you need to use your hands. And that was actually kind of the thrust of the Joe Moreira seminar, wasn't it too?
It was, but you're right. Chris Howder had a video. You and I discussed it, like, I don't know, a year ago now.
Yeah, a while ago.
But yeah, he basically berates him. He said like 70% of what you do should be in your hips. Like your hands are almost like none. What's the word? Inconsequential.
Yeah, your hands kind of like guide stuff into place, but they aren't actually moving it.
Yeah. But you shouldn't need to grip anything. You should be able to do it. I went on a little spree for a while there with a few of the newer people, and I tried deliberately to see if I could sweep them without using my hands. It's hard.
Well, yeah, of course it's hard.
It's probably good practice.
Yeah.
I got a few people, but like new people. Let's be fair.
Still counts.